The clutches, revs are up. Here we go. Gerloff got a good
Great
launch.
start. But it's been a fairly easy race, I would say, for Cameron.
Onto the front straightaway he comes, and Cameron Beaubier will take victory in race number 1 here at Virginia International Raceway. And he does it in commanding style. It's time for the MotoAmerica AMA FIM North American Road Race Championship. Round 3 of 10 for 2019. It's the Championship of Virginia from Virginia International Raceway. Hello everyone and welcome to the broadcast booth and welcome to Alton, Virginia. I'm Greg White, standing alongside Jason Pridmore, who's won 2 world titles in his motorcycle racing career. Now, this is FS2's continuing coverage of VIR Race 2. Jason? Yesterday, we saw Cameron Beaubier win by 3.5 seconds. Now, teams have had a night to talk about it, go over data. Do you think it's going to happen again today?
Well, it definitely can. Cameron looked on rails yesterday, and I think for the last quarter of that race, there was nobody that was going to touch him. There's some other guys that are going to have something to say about that. We saw Matthew Skoltz lead early. We see Garrett Gerloff continue to chip away, as well as Josh Herron had a problem yesterday as well. So there are some guys there that probably made some changes overnight that'll be closer today.
Well, if you didn't get to see it, let's take a look at Race 1 highlights from yesterday, Jason. It was a good start to the race,
but right off the bat, we see Garrett Gerloff get a great jump. Second pole of his career, second in the last 3 rounds. But Matthew Skoltz had other ideas as they headed off into turn 1. He was able to get up underneath him, and we saw him lead his first laps this year as Garrett Gerloff tried to go around the outside of him, and now look at Cameron Beaubier. He was awful racy early, Greg, trying to go underneath both of them. But when they came out of turn 1, it was the same order they crossed the line, and it was Skoltz, Gerloff, and Cameron. Skoltz started to try to pull a brake just a little bit, but he stayed on the brakes just a little bit too long up in the turn 10 area and slid off. He wasn't able to remount, but that opened the door for Cameron to go after his teammate. And as that was going on, Tony Elias was also charging up the inside of JD Beach, who hung on with the crew for quite a while to JD. Tony Elias then went after his teammate Josh Herron. He made the pass up under turn 4. Then at this point, it looked like Elias really had some pace. As he slid up underneath the inside of Garrett Gerloff, you can see just up in front there, Cameron's not that far up the road, but Cameron just kept plugging those lap times away, and towards the end, he got down into the high 24s again during this race, and you can see he had a comfortable margin as he comes onto the front straightaway to collect his 2nd win of the year.
Yeah, and after the race, Tony Elias said that it got a little bit greasy. It was 84 degrees, and the track got a little bit warm. Tires started to move around, but not for this guy, Cameron Beaubier. What a stamp he put on the championship early on. The question today to be answered is, can Yoshimura Suzuki close the gap to Beaubier? Let's take a look at the championship points, because it was 13 coming into the weekend, now 8. So it looks like a 2-horse race at this point with JD Beach 57 adrift, Jason, but we all know that this can change at any time.
Yeah, for sure, because you and I in the past, when we've seen big points gaps, we've thought, uh-oh, what's going to happen here? And then next thing you know, it's closed up. So I think that when you think about what's going on with the championship, there's so many guys on a weekend that can win, and we're going to start seeing some new faces do just that pretty soon, I feel.
You know what? This rider right here, JD Beach, our featured profile rider, as the Attack Performance Estenson Racing Yamaha, 27 years old, from Philpott, Kentucky. 2-time MotoAmerica Supersport champion. This guy, also the 2008 MotoGP Red Bull Rookies Cup World Champion. So we want you to get to know a little bit more about JD Beach. So here he is.
Yeah, the track here is a track that I like a lot, and it's actually one that I've raced every year that since I've been pro. I think the first time I raced here was in 2009, and just kind of took well to the track, and it's been one that I've won a lot here, and I just really enjoy the track here. This track had turn 3, 4, and 5. They're all left-handers, and it all flows good together. And with my background of racing flat track, it kind of helps me a little bit, and I can kind of change my lines up and stuff a little bit. So on a track like this, that's kind of hard to pass on. It's good to be able to make new lines and try and find new places to pass at. After the first 2 rounds, I mean, I'm definitely pumped with how it's gone. I mean, got a 3rd in my first race, and we've been top 4 and 5 in the rest of them, and it's going better than I thought. But I mean, I'm still really excited about it, and I think there's still more to come, because I mean, I'm still learning a lot every time I get on the bike, and the team's working real hard too. So I don't think we're done yet.
Well, Jason, I think we can agree that JD Beach, one of the greatest guys in the paddock. But what does JD have to do to take the next step and just close the gap and possibly win a race?
Truly one of the best guys, no question. But I think he spent so many years on a 600 that it's going to take him a little bit of time to get the information across to a Superbike team like Richards at Attack Performance and Essence and Racing. It's going to take him a little time to get that knowledge to them of what he's actually trying to feel for, and it's going to take a little bit of changing from him as well. He's very adaptable on anything he rides, and we've already seen him on the podium this year, and we've seen him win a dirt track race, so it's not going to be long before we see him winning a Superbike race.
No question of talent, I think, for JD Beach. It's just a matter of little tweaks. All right, we'll take a break. On the other side of the commercial break, we'll come back as we inch closer and closer to race action in the EBC Brakes Superbike class. Welcome back to EBC Brakes Superbikes. All right, let's get down to Hannah, who has our Cycle Gear last minute report. Hannah?
Bikes are about to take off. I did have a chance to catch up with Matthew Skoltz after yesterday. He had that unfortunate crash. He said his shoulder is really bothering him. He said either way he's going to give it his best try, but he was hoping for rain because it's maybe a little less physical and it would have been easier on his shoulder. But, you know, either way, I know he's going to give it 110%, and the team gave it 110% to get that bike back together and ready for this race right now.
All right, thanks, Hannah. Right shoulder for Matthew Skoltz, Jason. And in a conversation with him, asking him about, you know, how he uses his body to ride a bike, he said that he's a little bit top heavy. He uses a lot of his upper body, so it's going to really affect him. Onboard camera shot.
Look how dry it is. See how dry it is there?
Yep.
Funny thing is that you can only fit about 2 bikes on those little spots. So that's where the issue is. It's being able to fight for those spots. And let's look here. We got 1 bike, Greg, stuck on the grid right now. Is that David Anthony's bike?
I think it's San Verterico's bike.
Is it?
Possibly.
It looks like that's an R1. Yep, that's an R1. So San Verterico's bike getting wheeled off to the side.
That's a bummer for Sam.
That's a bummer. But
all the way out here from Washington.
And I don't think that really, even with the conditions being what they are, I don't really see anybody really taking a chance on wets, because you're going to be good for about maybe 5-6 laps, and then that's going to be it. So it's going to be really just a matter of everybody's going to have to sustain a certain pace early on the conditions, or the conditions that we have, excuse me, and just try to get through the first few laps. It's going to dry. I mean, obviously, we got a lot of sun coming down on the track right now.
Scheduled 23 laps in this EBC Brakes Superbike class. And you're getting a good look at the track as well, seeing what they see. Trying to take a look, Jason, out of our commentary position. The wind isn't howling. It's still blowing, but it's not howling like it was. Right. But, man, it dries fast here.
It really does.
It's just a matter of what standing water's left. We can see on the front straightaway.
So I just got word right now that Dave Anthony is on wets. So, we're going to see Dave Anthony lead for a few laps. That's my promise.
Is that right?
He's going to lead for a few laps, you know. But the tires are going to get chewed up pretty hard, I think. And I'm hoping as we come around here, it looks like everybody else is on slicks, as tentative as everyone's being. And this is when you really got to trust the guys that you ride around, the guys you trust that you ride with. And here comes everybody. Boy, how conditions change in an hour, huh, Greg? I mean, an hour ago it was just pouring here.
You really got to find that dry line on the front straightaway.
This is where you kind of hope that you qualified in the middle part of a row, because you're probably going to be on a dry spot.
Kyle Wyman could be on rain tires as well, so there's going to be an assortment of tires.
He did a pretty fast warm-up lap along with Dave Anthony, so I'm wondering if you might be right on that, Greg. I'm looking Looking out our window, it's a little too far for me to tell.
Well, Hannah just gave me some word that she's saying that Kyle's on reins, but let's go. What tires do you have? Who's going to be able to make it to the finish line? Scheduled for 23 laps. Here we go. Garrett Gerloff with a good launch.
Great launch for Garrett Gerloff.
Was that Jake Lewis coming from the second row?
Jake Lewis is just on the outside of the right there. I think it might have been JD Beach. JD Beach, yes. So this is where the tip in. Look at Kyle Wyman is on reins. See that Ducati going around?
Wyman's on reins. Anthony's on reins. I heard Max Flinders.
We're going to get to see Ducati lead a race, Greg.
Here we are. So here goes Kyle Wyman leading the way on the brand new Ducati Panigale V4R. Indy Motorsports Ranch KWR team, the number 33. The Ducatisti standing up and cheering right now as Kyle Wyman.
He knows he's got to make hay while the sun is shining right now.
Got to go for it.
He's not liking the sun right this second.
No, he's going to be going for every puddle, every bit of water he can find.
Gerloff. Josh Herron, too, out of the seat.
Snapping all around. That's just a slick tire trying to find grip.
And see, Dave Anthony didn't make as good a start as he'd have liked. He's trying to go. See, already it's drying so quick. It's almost hard to pass guys in the passing zones on wets because you got to go onto the wet to go by them, and there's enough of a dry line for them to pick from. So right now, Dave Anthony is, what is he, 5th or 6th, Greg? But here's the battle for second. JD Beach goes up underneath Garrett Gerloff as they head into turn 10. So now JD Beach gets himself up into second spot. Garrett Gerloff leading in third. So these guys are coming down the hill. Look, Garrett's searching for the dry spot on the track. And look at how everybody is just fanning out behind them all.
Trying to find
Dave Anthony's
something.
Finally going to go by Josh Herron as Kyle Wyman goes by our commentating booth, already through at a 42.6, and then it's going to be JD and everybody else is going to be coming through here. And really, the front straightaway, Greg, looks partially the most sketchy, probably the most sketchy spot, like right where we're sitting. We see it starting to dry. You can see Dave Anthony is kind of cleared off from the rest of them, but we got a lot of big heavy hitters in this group. Matthew Skoltz, Tony Elias, Josh Herron's there. So a lot of the guys, you see Cameron Beaubier is there back in this group.
With 18 laps now, it was scheduled for 23, so now they reduced it to 18.
Oh, there goes Cameron Peterson, and it looks like he goes past Cameron Beaubier.
A lot of laps left in this one, though, as Wyman's trying to break as much as he can. It's a matter of how much time can I build until the rain tires become the deficit and the slicks become the benefit.
Yep. There you go. Hey, that's Samuel. Yeah, Samuel Trepanier. He crashed on the warm-up lap, comes in, he's got reins on himself. He's just going by all the factory guys now as he heads off into turn 7. So he has got himself up to 5th.
Yep, out of Montreal, Canada.
But you look at all our championship contenders, kind of, with the exception of Garrett Gerloff and JD Beach, who are up front of all of them. Cameron Peterson goes by Skoltz.
He's on the 45.
Yep.
So that was a close one.
Skoltz fighting back right away.
So Skoltz, number 11, Westby Racing. So it's number 2, Josh Herron on the Yosh bike.
Tony just looked back and saw a whole group of guys that's probably going to get attacked. He did. He got attacked by Matthew Skoltz just from that little look back.
This is so crazy. This is so crazy tight right now. Anything could happen, especially with the available grip on the track, as Kyle Wyman has come across the line. So Wyman ticks a 41.839 on the timing and scoring screen as we continue to watch this group battling, trying to find dry track.
Tony gets by Herron. You can still see a lot of water. That's what makes this a little bit sketchy.
And David Anthony, you were talking about, he got clear. He just set the fastest lap of the race at a 41.8. So Wyman sits on a 7-second lead over JD Beach and Garrett Gerloff and David Anthony.
And look at this, just riding around the outside. Cameron Peterson doing a great job right now. Cameron Beaubier doing a great job as he goes past Herron and Peterson. And now Peterson's tried to go back up underneath Cameron Beaubier.
Way different conditions from yesterday. Our Suzuki weather says 70 degrees, 84 yesterday, and obviously the humidity high as we just had a passing rain shower just an hour ago. The track continues to dry. So Wyman out front.
Matthew Skoltz now. These guys have all got by Josh Herron. Looks like Jake Lewis is trying to go by Herron as well. And he's going to sneak up underneath the number 2 bike. So this train is kind of going forward. They're going to do their best now to try to catch back up to the leading 5 guys, and Matthew Skoltz is going to be the one trying to pull them closer.
Could this be one of those races we look at later on in the season with championship implications?
How about Max Flinders is right off the back of these guys too? Look, there he is. So
Flinders
he's
with a rain
doing
front,
a great job.
a rain front, and a slick rear.
Got it. Okay.
Interesting choice for Flinders.
Yep.
There he is, Ducati's.
Love seeing it.
Indy Motorsports Ranch this weekend for Kyle Wyman.
Yep.
I mean, what a job he's doing.
Perfect.
The only
Great
set of
job.
body work, the only bike they have out there on rain tires, taking
Come
a
on,
chance.
Greg.
I'm just saying, he's doing it. Listen,
he's doing great.
If you're in the situation now, you're waiting for your new electronics to show up. There's so many great things coming down the pipe for that team. Why not put those rain tires on and get out and get some sponsor exposure?
Here's the problem. 37.3 for JD Beach. So on those dry tires, he just was able to click off a 37.3 to Kyle's 41.0.
All right, Hannah's down, working pit lane. What's up, Hannah?
Jake Gagne is pulled into the pits, having some kind of mechanical issue. Tell us what's going on.
Yeah, we had just something funky, I think, with the electronics. It worked. The bike was working good on those sighting laps that we did, and then I came to the grid and something was up. So we'll figure it out. It's a bummer. It's a little tricky out there. I think we could have had some fun and had to be patient and see what happens, but that's how it goes. That's racing. So.
Thanks, Jake.
All right, so now the Canadian
and they've
just
caught
like
him
that.
already.
They already
Just like
caught
that.
Kyle.
Yep.
So Kyle now moves to second spot for the moment. JD Beach, Attack Performance Estenson Racing Yamaha in his first season back on a Superbike. Here's how it happened, Jason.
This is going to be coming out of turn 7. You can see just taking advantage of that dry line now as Garrett Gerloff has allowed JD Beach to kind of be in front of him and pace him along. But Kyle's a bit of a sitting duck on those rain tires, as we kind of had suspected, and David Anthony as well. But now JD Beach and Garrett Gerloff have a pretty big breakaway, Greg, over everybody else on those slick tires. So I'm just looking back, and I think the first person I'm really going to look at it would be Cameron Peterson, I believe, is the first guy that's going to come across on slicks as well. He has actually moved himself on that Omega Motorsports bike ahead of Matthew Skoltz, Elias, and Jake Lewis.
David Anthony on the Kawasaki as we move back to Cameron Peterson. A lot of changes to that motorcycle. They're trying to find a wet setup. What a great job Cam Peterson, Omega Moto, doing. The South African, who we've seen in the past on a smaller displacement motorcycle in Super Sport some years ago, do really well in mixed conditions. So there's the 45. So 2 South Africans in our frame right now.
Jake Lewis coming forward. He just made a pass on Cameron Bobier as they headed into turn 4. So Jake Lewis is now trying to come forward. Garrett Gerloff has taken the lead from JD Beach. So off camera somewhere, we didn't get to see it. Could this be the day, Greg? Garrett's been just itching to get a race win, and he's looked so good all year. But he has gone through on JD Beach.
Heart pounding right now for the Yamaha rider, Garrett Gerloff. Can he go from pole to the race win? We'll be back with more from Circuit of the Americas. Welcome back to EBC Brakes Superbikes. JD Beach lost that spot. Now searching for more traction. Garrett Gerloff just riding like a man with nothing to lose at this point.
Got to kind of wonder if JD made a mistake, because the gap was a lot bigger at the top of the hill than it is now. So I'm wondering if JD got into a corner a little bit hot somewhere, maybe turn 7 or somewhere where maybe got out, maybe ran a little bit wide, got out on some wet patch and decided, here we go, Greg, we're gonna have a look at it. You can see he's ran a little bit wide going into turn 3 is what had happened there. And that's where Garrett was able to make that pass. And look, JD's all over the back of him again now, all over the back of Garrett Gerloff. And he's gonna go for the pass, Greg, as they go into turn 4. Look how dry it is there. So Garrett opened up the line and JD went straight to the dry spot of the track.
So there goes the 95. He takes it over. So Beach, now your leader. Oh, up and out of the saddle for a moment. Dirt track style. JD Beach continues to hold on to the lead as they tail off into turn number 7, and up the hill they go. So Gerloff had it for a moment.
And you can see how tight they are going in there. Look, he ran a little bit wide again. He ran wide. But the thing is, Greg, is you can see how tight they were on the entry to that corner where it's a lot drier. So we're down in the 32s already. 32.7. For these two guys up, 32.7, 32.3, 33.3. The rest of the guys behind Cam Peterson, 34.6, and they're still trying to get by Wyman and David Anthony. They should be through by now.
So somewhere in the neighborhood of about 8 seconds slower than they are normally on a really dry track.
Here you go.
Kyle Wyman being caught by the pack. Cam Peterson eases his way by Wyman, who once again is on rain tires. So he made that selection and he went out to a jackrabbit start, and you can see the difference with that soft rubber. Obviously the heat of the track, and Cam Beaubier trying to get around Kyle.
Couldn't quite make it though. See, so
and losing tons of time.
And there's now Jake's going to have to go by. We saw just now Jake was ahead of Cameron Beaubier at one point.
So Lewis should get a superior drive. He already got by Wyman on that one. As those rain tires, they're deeply grooved, so you don't have as much rubber contacting the road. Plus, it's a very soft compound, so they can get mushy in a hurry.
Awesome ride by Cameron Peterson so far, Greg. Really, really solid effort put in by him and this team as he gets himself into third now. It's the highest we've seen him running, and he's been very steady this year. Just getting the bike, bringing it home, getting solid finishes. These guys have been working really hard.
They made Super Pole this weekend.
Yes, they did.
In an abbreviated 2-day schedule. I was talking to the team, and they said they learned a tremendous amount about how the workflow works to get the tires, get the Dunlop qualifiers, making Super Pole. So it's been an education not only for Peterson, but the team as well this weekend.
And he's showing some real pace on these guys in the beginning part of this lap. Let's see how that continues, because he just ran 34.1. The leaders are in the high 30s now. JD Beach 30.8, Garrett Gerloff 31.5. So he's got almost half a second lead that last time by. And then Cameron's really trying to get these guys and drag them forward as well.
So many different things done between a rain setup and a dry setup with a lot of different riders. Could be a shock change, could be a ride height change, could be front end adjustment. So the question really becomes, what can you do in these conditions to switch back and forth? We have a one bike rule, so if it's going to be wet, setting all that stuff up. So riders contending with different setups that they normally wouldn't race with in the dry as well, because if it was going to rain, they didn't really have a lot of time to make any big changes to the motorcycles.
That's right. No, that's exactly right. Cameron Beaubier, he's in deep too, Greg. He's just gone past, so you can tell these guys are getting a lot more confident braking-wise as he just runs right up the back here of Tony Elias, and he's now on his tail. 30.1 for Cameron Beaubier. He's 20 seconds behind the race leader. So I really think that JD Beach and Garrett Gerloff have done a tremendous job opening this race up. It's going to be very difficult to catch those two guys. But these four now are in a big scrap for third. You can see Jake Lewis has just kind of lost touch with them off the back there.
If you're just joining us here in our FS2 coverage of MotoAmerica EBC Brake Superbike class, your eyes do not deceive you. We are on a mixed condition racetrack where there is some water on the track, but these riders we're looking at right now on full slick tires. In normal dry conditions, you would see lap times that are about, at this point, 5 seconds or so faster, but we have 11 laps to go in this one, and the track continues to dry in a hurry, and lap times continue to drop faster and faster. Last time by, the third rider in your screen, number 1, Cameron Beaubier, set the fastest lap of the race. That's already been eclipsed by our race leader, JD Beach and Garrett Gerloff. So 30.1 was the fastest last time by, now 28.6. But we'll see what this group has in them as they come onto the front straightaway now and head towards the line.
Now Tony's close enough to try to do something with Cameron Peterson as they come down the front straightaway. Not quite there though. So let's see if there's any big heavy out braking going on at the end here. Cameron's getting in there nice. Tony's up underneath him now and slides by. Is Cameron going to cut it back underneath him? He can't, so yep, he does.
Yep.
Cameron Peterson fighting back. Love seeing it. It's going to do so much for his confidence. He gets himself back into that third spot, and these are guys that he hasn't got a chance to really race with this year. So this is good for him. Elliott is going to go straight to the inside of turn 4. He does. Makes the pass. Cameron is trying to kind of not going to be able to double it back.
There's no room there.
Yeah,
there's no room to fight back without it being a big issue.
Or really dry, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And look at Jake Lewis. Jake Lewis is now all of a sudden gone 30.1, and what looked like he had fallen off this group, he's trying to get himself back up to this guys as well.
So Yoshimura Suzuki leads the way from Omega Moto in this group. This is the battle for third. So right now, Tony Elias, number 24, in that final spot on the podium. Omega Moto's Cam Peterson from South Africa on the 45, trying to get back by him. Just behind that, number 1, Cameron Beaubier on that Monster Energy Yamalube Yamaha factory racing machine. Westby Racing Yamaha's number 11 is Matthew Skultz, also from South Africa. And now in the back, M4 X-Star Suzuki's Jake Lewis on the 85.
What a great ride. And this is tremendous stuff from Jake Lewis, too, because Jake Lewis came from so far back as we get a look at our Yamaha and Yost crew having a peek out to see these guys go by on the front straightaway. Cam Peterson's braking really good as he's going to take a shot at Tony Elias as they go down into turn 1.
Cam Peterson just did a Tony Elias on Tony Elias, outbraked him into 1, able to hold the line. So now Cam Peterson back into 3rd spot. A lot of fight in Peterson right now.
Yes, there is. Good job from him there. And now he's just got this incredible
close
scrap.
the line. You think he's going to close it up?
Should.
4A. Tony's going for it. No.
That time Cam just kind of let off the brakes. He got out of 3 a little bit better and just stayed committed to running it in there a little bit harder.
Oh, no!
Cameron Beaubier goes down.
Holy moly.
Wow.
Cameron Beaubier unexpectedly low sides his number 1 bike.
I got to wonder, Greg, if he was trying to cut back up underneath Tony or do something there. We couldn't see it on our screen. But, yeah, we'll have to have a look. But, again, in the same spot as he did it in the race. In Super Pole, yes, he's trying to get the bike started. Let's have a look here. We can't see it from this angle. And, yeah, he's a little bit far back, but God, I wonder what happened there.
Maybe lost the rear. You know, the attitude of the bike.
Front and the rear, yeah.
Front and the rear, possibly. As you can see, it kind of went into the grass rear forward on that one. And this championship, don't forget, Beaubier only 8 points behind coming into this race than Tony Elias after his win yesterday. Oh, boy. If Beaubier can get that thing going, though, Jason, with the riders we have and the pace, if he can get that bike going, then he will at least try to gather some points. So hopefully that bike's able to go.
Tony has gone back through at the front here.
He has.
Of Cameron Peterson for 3rd.
We'll be back with more from Circuit of the Americas. Welcome back to EBC Brakes Superbikes. As JD Beach continues to lead the way, Garrett Gerloff, Tony Elias, this is that battle for 3rd spot. As Tony looks like he's got some pace, but it's Jake Lewis who's just been on the march. He just keeps marching forward. There's our race leader right now, JD Beach, Attack Performance, Estenson Racing Yamaha. Jason, we had a chance to talk to this guy. It was about 7 days ago when he won his very first American flat track race.
Yep.
And the possibility of winning his very first Superbike race in this one. He said he probably wouldn't even make it to winner's circle.
Wouldn't even know what to do, he said, basically, did he? And look at how the difference in pace it is. These guys, at one point, Kyle Wyman was leading this race at one point.
Yeah.
And now both him and Dave Anthony are straightening around together back there on rain tires, and they've gone by. But something happened on this particular lap to Garrett Gerloff because he's lost quite a bit of time in that first sector. It only looks like 3/10, but it was 2.2, and now he's getting held up a little bit by back markers. Garrett just didn't get quite a clean enough run through the back markers, but JD has just checked out this lap.
Incredible run. So Garrett Gerloff on that one, it had been 2.1, and when they came by the stripe to start this lap, it had eked out to 2.2. So it's being consistent right now. So JD's going to come across the line ahead of Garrett Gerloff, who we're watching now. There he goes, a 26.335, fastest lap of the race. Gerloff goes 27.5, so he lost about a second going through traffic.
Yeah,
so
1.2,
JD Beach, he's not a Superbike rookie, but he's back in the class since 2010.
And how about these guys? They're not letting Tony get away at all. So now Matthew Skultz has made his way through on Cam Peterson, who is just going to do his best now to go with these guys as quickly as he can. Matthew Skultz trying to go up underneath Jake Lewis now, so he makes it through.
Skultz just putting on a ride. Jason, I talked to Matthew Skultz about this particular ride, and he was like, no, I need to put it on the podium. I've got to pay my team back, and I've got to double down. I said, man, you're talking like a gambler here, buddy. Like I lost all this money, and I got to gamble more to make it back. And he said, that's the way it's going to be. Wow. So can Matthew Skultz pull this off and work his way onto a podium position? He's got a lot of work to do with Tony Elias in front of him. Into turn 7 they go.
Cam Peterson still looking up the inside of Jake Lewis there as they were looking down into turn 7. But all three of these guys are pushing that factory Yoshimura Suzuki rider just in front of them.
It just looks like Schultze's getting more and more comfortable with the pace at this point.
Yep.
All right, top of the hill. This battle's still a ways back from the lead. As we know, JD Beach has gone by the stripe, 26-2, so another fastest lap of the race for JD Beach, and now a 4-second gap. So with 4 to go for JD Beach, does he continue to push the issue? For sure, we know that the final spot on the podium, which is what we're watching right now, it's hotly contested. We'll be back with more from Circuit of the Americas. Welcome back to EBC Brakes Superbikes. You have Tony Elias on the 24, on the Suzuki. Then you have number 11, Matthew Schultz back there. Cam Peterson still trying to fight his way onto a podium spot. And Jake Lewis just in a familiar spot we saw last year. A lot of 5th place finishes for the M4 X-Star Suzuki rider.
And he's riding so good too, is Jake. He's riding really, really well.
And off the track, Jake Lewis has had a rough couple of years with deaths in the family.
Yeah.
You know, and this would just mean so much to him this time of year, a year later, to be able to put this motorcycle on the podium for his team.
Yeah, and as well as he's still recovering from a
injury.
Broken fibula that he did at the Daytona short track, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I got to wonder, when you're racing behind Tony and you know how good he is in the braking zones, you've got to get creative when you pass him. It's got to be in a spot where maybe he's going to be least expecting it. And I got to think turn 10 is that spot. Here you go. Here's a good look at our leader, Greg. JD Beach, just a week or so out of winning his first American Flat Track Series race, leading this one by 4.5 seconds over this guy, Garrett Gerloff, who has really rode superb. Absolutely great in this race.
Both those leaders, JD Beach, Garrett Gerloff, this would be their very first EBC Brakes Superbike race win of their careers. And what a story it would be if JD Beach could pull this one off. Through lap traffic, just riders everywhere. As our 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th place riders fanned out 4 wide, heading into turn number 1. Cam Peterson taking advantage and now moves himself into 5th spot ahead of Jake Lewis.
And that is simply just, you could just get distracted as you see Tony Ellis look over his shoulder. He saw that big gold bike right behind him, Matthew Schultz.
Schultz, though, does he have the shoulder? That's really the question. Does he have the shoulder to really put all the G-forces into the front end of his Yamaha and make a clean, aggressive pass on Tony Elias? Tony's strong suit. Boy, he's really going to have to grit his teeth. He's got to run into 7. Is he going to try to go to the apex? So there goes Schultz. He's got the line. Tony had to check up. He's out in no man's land.
That's what you got to do, Greg. It's exactly what he had to do there. So Matthew's got to get a really clean run across the ridge. Try to get on this front straightaway with about half a second lead if he can, so that Tony can't fight back into turn 1. And I think Matthew has definitely shown a little bit of pace here, but Tony always seems to have something left in the tank, always, doesn't he?
Mm-hmm. Adrenaline and Advil right now for the number 11 rider.
No doubt.
He's not feeling any pain at the moment. And it really comes down to how much strength does he have to hold off the Scud missile, Tony Elias, number 24. Here they come on the front straightaway. Lap traffic getting out of the way. Looks like Max Flinders possibly doing a good move. Max with that rain front, I'm sure that thing is giving up at this point.
That probably is done at this point. Look at Tony. He's having a look. This is where Matthew, if Matthew could start to try to brake tighter and make it to where Tony has to come up with another move. And here we go with a lap and a half to go. JD Beach just ran 26.3. Garrett Gerloff ran the fastest lap of the race at a 26.275. But JD, when he comes by this next time through, and look how good the bike looks, Greg. It looks really solid underneath him, sliding it like he wants to, into turn 10, coming down the hill now.
JD Beach, the 2008 MotoGP Red Bull Rookies Cup world champion, found himself just a couple years later on a Kawasaki team with Eric Bostrom, who decided after the first race to retire. JD was on a 600. They then put him on a Superbike. It didn't go the way he planned. Then he spent years and years on a 600. Now with an opportunity on this Attack Performance Estenson Racing Superbike to come in this class. And JD Beach, who's already had 1 podium finish in the first race, unexpectedly a 3rd place finish, goes to American Flat Track, wins his first Twin Cup Premier Class race just 7 days ago. Now in a position on this final lap of competition here at VIRginia International Raceway, a quarter of the way through the lap already. Can JD Beach close it and make it 2 first-time class wins in just a week's time. What a story that would be.
Gotta get over to the right, Matt.
Continues to rage.
Gotta get over to the right, Matthew. You cannot open the door and let that guy through. And we see it time and time. Tony's just gonna go right to the curbing there and go right to the inside. You've got to close the door on the last couple laps when you know that Tony Elias is behind you.
So third place to Tony Elias at the moment. Does Matthew Skoltz have anything in the tank to throw a shot at the Demon Breaker? Tony Elias, number 24. They've broken away, so it's going to be up to these two to decide who will be the final on the podium.
The problem is you watch Tony, he'll go over to the right now and stay there. He'll just move over to the right, and it's going to make it really hard, so you can't go back underneath him because he closes the door. And I think that a lot of these guys that race against Matthew can see it.
Here comes J.D. Beach across the line, and he will take his first EBC Brake Superbike victory here at Virginia International Raceway. What a run. Garrett Gerloff in second spot from pole position in crazy conditions. And here's that battle for third. Matthew Skoltz tried to do something, but he runs wide, and now it's clear sailing for the number 24. Tony Elias. Down the hill through turn 13 they come. Tony on the Yoshimura Suzuki with Cameron Beaubier out of this one. Tony Elias will put the maximum amount of points he can and finish third and collect 16 points for his effort over his championship rival Beaubier. What a race in crazy conditions all day.
This guy is going to be so pumped for JD. What a great couple of weeks. Good couple of weeks for JD. Goes and wins American Flat Track in Arizona. Comes to VIR. Probably this is what he's always wanted to do, isn't it?
Unbelievable. Privateer victory where JD Beach becomes the 4th different winner we've had so far this season in 6 short races. We've talked about it, Jason Pridmore, from the beginning of the season, way before the season started. The depth of talent in the EBC Brake Superbike class is unbelievable.
Yeah.
The depth of teams, of know-how, of getting these motorcycles prepared and working with their team. Richard Stamboli in attack performance once again proves what an incredible effort they can put in, and even in these conditions. What a performance, what a ride.
So
what a
cool.
ride on slick tires JD Beach had. What risks he was taking at the beginning of this race. He lost the lead to Garrett Gerloff right around the midway point. And now an emotional JD Beach
Taking his time. Taking his time on this one for sure.
Incredible.
Yeah, it's just, and if you get to know JD a little bit, he's just such an incredible guy. He's so fun to talk to. Loves to have a good time. Trains so hard all the time. All he wants to do is be on a motorcycle all of the time. And he's with a guy, let's be fair, got to give Richard Stamboli and that whole crew gigantic props because they work just as hard. When he's off doing his training, those guys are busting their butts as well. And just continuously figuring out a way to put a better bike underneath him.
You are witnessing one of the most talented American motorcycle racers to ever get on a motorcycle. You're talking, I mean, I don't even know how many years it's been, if it's even been done. Last weekend, won in flat track the premier class.
Gave
and
Yamaha
now,
their first win there in 40
years.
Yep.
Comes here on a completely different motorcycle, different discipline, obviously. It's a Yamaha.
Yep.
And now wins an EBC Brakes Superbike race. Incredible. I'm not even sure I'd be going that fast.
Yeah, no doubt. There's Kyle Wyman early there. Took a gamble, as you would. You know, Kyle didn't have anything to lose. Take a gamble and see what he can get out of it. Him and Dave Anthony fought the whole way across, both on rain tires. Here's Tony. Tony's going to be probably pretty happy with this third place today, all in all. He's going to get some points in the championship, isn't he?
Yeah, he definitely is. Like I said, that third place gives him 16 points. So in terms of his closest championship rival, which was Tony Elias, had 8 points ahead of Cameron Beaubier. Now he's got 13 on top of that. All right, we're going to take a break. On the other side, we're going to come back and hear from this guy, JD Beach, who won his first. Today's coverage has been brought to you by Dunlop, the official tire of the 2019 MotoAmerica Championship. Well, there it is, victory circle, Parc Ferme. Everyone excited and thrilled for the victory of this guy, JD Beach. Oh, there's a guy who's won a few Superbike races
Still
in
in
his
his
day.
leathers. What's Hayes still doing in his leathers?
I don't know.
Maybe
Josh Hayes? That was Josh Hayes, by the way.
might have just thought about putting that 600 out there or something. There's not going to be anybody in the paddock that's not going to be beyond happy to see this guy win.
I tell you, there's one guy sitting at home right now. I'm sure he wishes he was here, Roger Hayden.
So there's Hayden Gillum also in his leathers. So those guys must have just got their press conference. But these two, I saw JD actually stop Hayden when Hayden was on his way in for the winter circle to try to get some track condition updates. And, yeah, just great job.
So we heard, I heard earlier on in the week, JD Beach on a podcast, a racing podcast, talk about what it might be like to do the double, I guess you could say, in terms of his career and the wins he had, and what it would be like if he was able to stand on top of the box here in EBC Brake Superbike class. It'll be interesting to see if he gets on a podcast next week and talks about it once it settles in for this guy. But incredible race for the Attack Performance, Estenson Racing. And these guys right here, huge fans, JD Beach. And, of course, you want to hear from him as Hannah wants to hear from him. And I know that he's made his way over to Hannah as she gets ready, Jason. I mean, the impact on this one is absolutely incredible. The series, 4 different race winners here in only 6 races.
Crazy.
It's absolutely phenomenal. I think also the tale of this story could be in the championship, what Tony Elias was able to do in this race. But let's get to Hannah, who has our VIR race number 2 champion.
Now, I was lucky enough to be there with you last weekend, and I thought I had never seen you any happier than when you won your first Pro Grand National until now. Tell us what it's like to be able to kind of switch gears like that and find success in both sports.
Man, I don't even got any words. I'm so damn happy right now. I mean, God, I feel so good. I mean, to get the Superbike win. I mean, last weekend was awesome, but oh my God, this is amazing. I mean, I've been working hard for this, and I mean, I just wanted my shot and attack, and Estenson just believed in me and gave me the bike to ride. And oh man, this feels so good. I just gotta thank the whole team, and they've been busting their butt. And I mean, everybody back home, my family. I mean, God, this feels so damn good.
We're so happy for you, JD. Congratulations.
This is something definitely to take a picture of, JD, and post it up on the Instagram. JD Beach, 3.7 seconds over Garrett Gerloff, and then that incredible battle between Elias Skoltz, Jake Lewis, Cam Peterson, right there in the mix. I thought a great ride for him.
Really good ride.
Josh Herron in 7th spot. Max Flinders grabs a bunch of points in 8th. Well, Jason, I think an emotional 8 days for JD Beach, no question about it. I didn't think he was going to get it this early in the season, but he proved me wrong.
How great is it that it has happened this early in the season? Because all it's going to do is add to his confidence. I think we both knew that it was going to happen. We just didn't know when. But for it to be the 3rd round of the series and our, 4th different winner now?
Yeah.
Pretty amazing stuff.
Let's take a look at the championship standings in this one, because this is the way it's shaping up. Tony Elias now 24 points over Cameron Beaubier, JD Beach 48 back. Garrett Gerloff, I know he's disappointed to be that far back in the championship. Looking at this page though, Jason, I'm like, okay, so now we roll into Road America. Can anyone reel in Tony Elias at this point in the season?
Oh, absolutely. We've seen big points gaps close down before at the race that we're going to next.
All right, well, that's going to do it for our coverage here from VIRginia International Raceway. For Jason Pridmore and Hannah Lopa, I'm Greg White. Thank you so much for joining us. JD Beach gets his first in the Premier class. Can he do it again? Join us in a couple weeks' time from Road America. Thanks for watching. We'll see ya.